Hari Om ji, Hari Om Kulkarni ji, Namaste. What I'll do is I'll just mute everybody. If you wish to ask something, you are most welcome. You can unmute anytime. Hari Om. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagatgurum. Hari Om. Yes. Can anyone recollect what is it that we have seen last? Yes, please. So we can form the link and continue. Yes. Badrinath ji. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, ji.
Lord Krishna says, you are getting this divine wisdom and you are so happy. It's a merriment, it says. And so please listen to these words of divine wisdom, divine, which I will be imparting to you, which will lead you to betterment in your life.
Okay. Yes.
Then he says, no one knows my origins, neither the sages nor the gods. For he says, Lord Krishna says, I am the origin of all. I am the original of all these sages, gods, and all the living beings.
Ji.
Further, he says, with this knowledge that I am birthless, I am not the beginning, I am the beginningless, the Lord of all the worlds and people, those who have this wisdom, he will not fall prey to any sinful activities in this mortal world.
Okay.
Then Lord Krishna says that equanimity of all the qualities, joy, sorrow, fame, infamy, then the clarity in his wisdom, then fearlessness, contentment, joyfulness, sorrowfulness, all these are equanimity, in the sense like these neither is unruffled by all these qualities, and all these qualities, they remain in balance.
Okay. Okay, these are all qualities which we can see. These are all qualities of the divine only. This will be useful to us later on. How qualities are. I'll just mute you for a moment. I think we have all seen this in the Devi, what we can say, part when we do for different prayers. We have Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstita Namastasya Namastasya. Shanti also comes, Krishna comes, Nidra comes. What happens is the shloka is beautiful. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu, meaning among all the living beings, that goddess is invoked. Bhuta means people. Among the people, the goddess, you manifest as Shanti, you manifest as Shakti, you manifest as Daya. So, meaning through qualities, even if we cannot directly visualize the divine, sometimes it's impossible. Imagine, how can I imagine Ma Kali, the entire Raudra Roop, and how is she, how it is all crazy. I cannot just imagine by my own mind, but I can feel the power, I can feel the raw strength in the universe. Then through the strength, I can recognize the divine. Like that, these are different qualities. Krishna is saying, Arjuna, recognize me through the qualities, because their qualities have originated through me. If anybody is aware of, there is a symbol of the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. It is like a petal. Inside there are 4 petals. There are 2 constant circles, we can say. In one circle, there are 4 petals. In the other circle outside, there are 12 petals. But each petal, if you see the inner are representing 4 goddess forms. Ma Saraswati, Ma Kali, Maheshwari, Ma Lakshmi. But the outer 12 are the qualities that originate. And so what many people do while they are meditating, they actually connect with the color of the petal and try to imbibe that quality inside of them. Light blue, light green. So when they are doing dhyana, they try to connect through the quality with the divine. Simplicity, this is also a quality. Gratitude is also a quality. So like that, Krishna says, see, these qualities have all originated from me. I am the first I am the one from which all the devas, all the danavas, all the rishis, everything in this universe has originated from me. And he says, somebody who understands my principle, meaning the divine is omnipresent and omniscient. When you become conscious of the divine presence everywhere, Krishna says that person will become one with the divine, meaning you're conscious of the divine, so you're not going away. And such a person, wherever he goes, whatever may be his way, whatever may be his work, there he is always going to remember the divine. So in the words also, something beautiful happens, they will say, thank God. If something bad happens, hey Bhagwan. Again, Bhagwan will not leave. That consciousness enters into the sadhak. And Krishna has already told that previously also, yoga kshemam vahamyam. Those persons who are already having this thought of the divine at all times, they are going to be not just in thought, in their acharan also, in their activities also. They have surrendered, they have consecrated their actions. Such ones are going to be liberated. And Krishna says, this is the most beautiful part, 10th and 11th shloka. For me, it is the most favorite one because I consider myself as the biggest fool, not worthy of even reading the Gita. But by the grace of my teacher, I have been able to study the Gita. There was a time when my mother wanted me to read it. I would cover my ears and say, no, mother, I don't have time. I don't have time to read. When in the mornings, early morning, Guruji had once woken me up also every time for pranayam, he would wake up early. So that time he said, we'll start reading the Gita. So he started, this was in 2000, maybe 12, I think. That was my very start. So he would read out. I still remember, Annat Bhavati Bhutani, that shloka he had told, asked me to repeat. I repeated. But despite repeating many times, I was not remembering. And after 4-5 days, as he saw, he was seeing that I'm not very keen on the Gita and I was all about sleepy also. Just because my guru is asking me, I'm listening, but I didn't have it. He said, wait, I think the time will come for you later on. And he closed the Gita and he said, let the time come. So the time will come, and he created the time because when this started, I had to just look at him and I would understand different things of the Gita. Well, Krishna is the one who is grantor of wisdom, and that is beautifully said in this shloka, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. One more beautiful aspect I have, what we can say corollary is, who can give buddhi? Who has all the buddhi in the world? Who can receive buddhi? Who is having some vacant space for receiving the buddhi? Who is able to, who is what we can say not having buddhi, that person only can receive. And look at this, Krishna is saying, Dadami buddhi yogam tam, meaning he wants people who are not having buddhi so he can plant. If we surrender to the divine, this is a brilliant truth. Because this way, when we surrender, we can receive so much more. Surrender is to the divine only, and that is the only place we must surrender also. Somebody who becomes a dasa of the divine is not the dasa of the world. He is a Raja or Rani of the world, in charge of the universe. That is what we can see, because Krishna says, those who are having this constant yearning, who seek to receive my communion, to them I give them yoga's understanding that sets them apart, unites with them with me, and they never again part. That understanding. Even Bhagavad Gita, you seek it with Krishna, with full surrender to the Krishna. Watch how the Upanishads will come close into your domain. Sometimes Upanishads feel so far away. Study the Gita sincerely. You will see, arey, koi naya cheez nahi hai. Upanishad mein everything is the same. This is an experience many people have felt. I too dared to touch the Upanishads because of the Gita. And the interesting part was when I started taking a session of the Upanishad for participants who had studied the Gita, they said, kuch naya nahi hai isme. The full Kathopanishad. One doctor actually shared her experience. She said, trailer, humne to abhi picture ka climax hi aaya nahi, is what she told. Because Upanishad is over. What is new? Yama has not told anything which Krishna has not told us in the Gita. How is this possible? Well, it is possible when we connect with the Gita. So this is one thing we can see, because here Krishna says the next step, what is a scientific or metaphysical aspect? From how does it happen? How does that awakening take place? It happens from the inside only. From the inside of the individual, there is the divine. A compassion starts flowing from inside only, is what Krishna is saying. Tesham evanukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atmabhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. For them, my compassion begins to stem. From where? From where does it come? From within the self that resides in them. The lamp of knowledge within them I ignite, and the ignorance of darkness disappears by my light. Before we go ahead, I just want to ask you, how many of you believe this? It's just what we can say, is it just a wishful thinking that the divine grants wisdom? Anybody? Badrinathji, all right, first you and then maybe somebody else.
Yeah, it's very much true, because when, as you also said, I also rightly agree, when you know that you know nothing, then that's the time when the Lord tries to give you a lot of knowledge, and that's the time he dispels all the ignorance. And
And
I have one thinking, like, I read somewhere, I know nothing, I have nothing, I am nothing. This nothingness, once you practice, then you really get life's abundance, that there is no limit. Gradually
so
it happens. Gradually it happens.
but is it when we say I am nothing, are we, what we can say, undervaluing ourselves, or what we can say, depreciating our worth?
No, I am nothing means whatever little I have is only because of you, my Lord. I am nothing in the sense, whatever little I am
Recognizing what we
having.
have is little in comparison to what more we
Right.
can know.
In
That
comparison to the so much vast knowledge that is available, it's just a drop in the ocean. The ocean is so full. So that's why,
absolutely.
if you contemplate every now and then, that
All right, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Asatoma,
you.
Sadgamaya and
Ji.
all that, that's good. Thank you.
Yes, ji,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody would like to add to the perspective shared by Badinarayan ji? Yes, please. Anyone? Anybody?
Yeah, I want to say something.
Yes, Vinita ji.
Here we are, by saying ki we don't know and we know nothing, we are not demeaning ourselves or devaluing ourselves, but when we are surrendering to the Lord or at the feet of the Lord and we are asking him to impart us the knowledge, and to him we are saying that we know nothing, you are the one who knows everything and you are the one who can decide for us or do things for us.
Absolutely, absolutely, Vinita ji. This is something, actually, it's very important, because the knowledge is so vast like the ocean, vast like the sky. No human or no individual can claim to have got all the knowledge. And one thing I have seen, the more senior a person is, the more advanced a person is in that field, the more humble that person appears, and more humility is displayed by that person. Sometimes I'm very surprised. Some of the best in the world are also saying, no, I don't know much. What do you think? What is your opinion? I was surprised, why is my opinion being asked by somebody who is an expert in the field. Later on, I understood it's nothing to do with my opinion. It is the humility of the person, as they say, Vidya Vinayena Shobhate. And this statement by Krishna is not just some kind of, giving comfort for someone, or what they say, positive thinking, or it's not like that. It's a practical aspect. It is a metaphysical aspect also. It's a tantric aspect also, if you look at it. I think in physics, we have seen when there is a vacuum, there is a gush of force, something like that inside of us. One little example I can just share of was my Guruji had taken me to Alandi. Alandi is a very famous place where Santa Gyaneshwar, he has grown there, and he had written Gyaneshwari. And the interesting part was, though I am connected to Maharashtra that way by my mother tongue is Marathi, I was not introduced to anything that much till I reached my teacher. So when I heard that he has written this beautiful Bhagavad Gita's, we say Jnaneshwari so beautifully, he has written at such a young age, and there was told that he has taken a Sanjeevan Samadhi, and there was this Ajan Vruksha on which the Samadhi is grown. So on that, I was told that he has done miracles of making a buffalo also start speaking Vedas. Now, how many of us will believe it? We'll say, how can a buffalo speak Rig Veda, or how can a buffalo chant? But those who are following this is an experience which has been noted down. It's a traditional experience, which is almost like a lived experience of people, which has been handed down. How did people hear? What happened? Was it an illusion? Well, in India, there are so many unexplained things. But I knew only one thing, because my teacher is taking me there. I said, my God, if he can make a buffalo do this, I should ask him for grace, definitely. Maybe there is some scope for me. And somebody had told me, is one leaf from that Ajan Ruksha also increases your intelligence. I thought I need veterinary dose. Then I went searching for the leaves. I didn't find, I found dried leaves. I said, dried leaves se hamara kuch nahi hoga. We need fresh leaves. So I went and instead of one, I plucked two, though somebody had told me not to pluck. Then I got caught plucking. But then I quickly ate it and then I said, sorry. Now I don't know whether it is a grace of my guru or it is Ganeshwara's blessing or something like that. After that only I wrote my Bhagavad Gita commentary also afterwards, Upanishads also. So what is this I can say? It is grace. Grace we must understand in our life. We must understand that we need grace. Man, Arjuna is nothing without Krishna. But Krishna also needs Arjuna. But Arjuna is not the only person Krishna needs. If Arjuna starts thinking, I am too great, see, Krishna is my Sarathi, Krishna cannot do anything without me, that day Arjuna will get discarded and a new Arjuna will be taking his place. Krishna is not dependent. Something like that, Ahankar should not come in. And let us see what happens when all of this is shared by Krishna to Arjuna. Arjuna is the best example. What do you do when you get such a moment? Make the most of such a beautiful moment. And Krishna is here telling everything. Arjuna is now not having doubts about Krishna. But he says, Krishna, how do I meditate on you? He goes on saying, Deva Deva Jagatpate, you are the father. Now I understand why Narada was talking about you. It's not that Narada came and told something to him, but it is Maya of the world. Things happen in our life. Sometimes even miracles happen in front of us, but because we are trapped, we don't realize. So he saw Narada speak something about Krishna. He saw Sita, he saw Devala. He would have heard so many, if you study the Mahabharata, so many brilliant things happening around Krishna. Yet he was not fully conscious of divinity of Krishna. Now he is becoming conscious. And he says, Krishna, only you know what is this Krishna consciousness. You can only share that to me. And he says here, please, if you look at the shloka, we stopped at this 16th shloka. We had even looked at why is Arjuna suddenly behaving so nicely. Well, it was not trickery, it was sincerity, but also a little bit swartha. But this is a dharma, isn't it? Holding on to dharma is not a wrong action. It is not selfishness, is what Krishna has told. A desire to uphold dharma. Now, he's a shishya, and it is a shishya dharma to get knowledge. And when Sakshat Krishna is there, he is not leaving it and he's asking from Krishna. He says, Vaktumar hasi asheshena divya hyatma vibhutayaha. I want you to speak. Jayamji says she cannot hear me. Anybody else is having the same problem? No. All right, let's continue. I think Jayamji, maybe you can just correct your microphone or something. Slightly, it must have a loose connection. Or you could just plug out the point. So, as Krishna says, he's being told, he says, I want to hear, I solicit ye to completely tell of all thy manifestations in this world. And Arjuna is not being stingy. He says, tell me not one, tell me not two, tell me all manifestations. One more beautiful aspect of Arjuna is his practicality. He says, where in this Srishti can I identify you? In this world, if I come across you, where do I see? How do I recognize you, Krishna? Or how do I recognize? He's using the word Vibhuti. Vibhuti means like a representative, a representation of the divine. Where can I see it in this world? If you look at in the start also, Krishna said, isn't it? The qualities are my representations. These are the qualities. These are also qualities which have originated from me. Maybe through the qualities you can reach. Something like that he wants to know. And he also says, what are the embodiments that I should aspire to see? Now he has got that ask or that desire to see also. And I want, where can I see in the world? He says, it's like there's a beautiful bhajan, isn't it? Darshan do ghan shamanat mori akhiya pyasire. Means that when the desire comes in, and that is a legit one. It is right. Let me recognize in the world. He says, which form should I meditate? You have talked to me about meditation. So which form should I focus on in my thoughts with my eyes closed? Tell me, Krishna, whom should I meditate upon? He goes on, he says, just tell is what he's asking, nothing more. I'm not asking for more, but tell me in detail. He says, more the better, because he says, Bhuyaha kataya truptir hi shrunvato nasti me mrutam. It is like amrita for me. Share as much as you can. He says, eager I am to hear of your manifestations. More the better. To my insatiable thirst, this is the immortal nectar. And I think I had asked this question to Kulkarniji as well as somebody else about what will Krishna do? And we were all on the common opinion. Krishna also wants Arjuna. As Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are happy. But maybe Krishna is also happy that Arjuna has got the, what we can say, a right mental attitude. My teacher also says it's always important to have that. That is the attitude which will allow us to progress, allow us to receive from all corners, and exponential progress also is possible. Now Arjuna is doing all the right things. Krishna will comply. Because if you read even in Kathopanishad, here we will see in this Adhyay also, Krishna talks about one of his representations as Yama. In Kathopanishad, it is Yama also. Yama is also extremely happy with young Nachiketa. He says, such a young boy, you're not only understanding, you are repeating at the same time. I'll give you more, is what he says, because it is a privilege. He says, it is a privilege for me to share to you. Something like that. Let us see. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Antate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutayaha Pradhanyataha Kurushrestha Nastyanto Vistarasya me. Krishna spoke, yes, I shall speak to you of my representations divine, but only some forms that are most prominent and fine. For my manifestations, O Arjuna, there is no end all across the universe. It is only I who extend. He says, yes, I'll tell you, but only that which is prominent. Because there is no end to my vibhutis, because I extend across the universe. Meaning, Arjuna, if I start describing, your lifespan will get over, but I will not finish the description. I'll tell you the prominent ones which you can relate to. Krishna goes on. He says, Aham Atma Gudakesha Sarvabhuta Shayasthitaha Aham Adishcha Madhyamcha Bhuta Namanta Evacha. O Arjuna, it is myself that abides, and within all beings my divinity resides. For every living being, big and small, it is I who am the beginning, middle, and end of all. So Krishna says this. He says, O Arjuna, it is myself. My divine self is present everywhere. My divinity is present in every living being, all creatures, bright, beautiful, all great, small, all wise, wonderful, everything. There, that divinity is present, is what Krishna is saying. It is I who am the beginning, I am also the middle, and I am also the end. In this Tirukkural also, it begins that way only. Agaram is similar to what in the Gita later on we'll see Akaram, or I am only that, I am in the beginning. That is the aspect Krishna is telling. This self, what is this self? Anybody can tell me? Have we come across it? Krishna says, I am that self in all living beings. What is this self? Anyone? What could this self be?
Hello.
The Aham Bhava.
Kulkarni ji says Aham Bhava. But Aham Bhava is Ahankar, isn't it, Kulkarni?
Not Ahankar. Not Ahankar.
This is a self, is a supreme self, isn't it? It's not a selfishness.
Me ahe.
Okay, the
I
Atman. I am.
I am Atman.
Yes,
The
yes.
Supreme
It is like,
consciousness. Hello.
yes. Yes, Ji, yes, Ji.
Hello.
Yes, Ji, I can hear
Hello.
you, Ji. I can hear
It
you.
is the inner consciousness of ours, which is quite different from the body, mind, and intellect.
All right. We can call that divine consciousness inside, isn't it?
That supreme or divine consciousness.
All right. What we can call the Atman, or we can call Chetana,
Chaitanya.
Chaitanya,
Enlightened
Chit.
Atman. Hello.
Chet,
The
or so many
enlightened
such words.
Atman.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right, Ji, all right. Hari Om, Hari Om. Yes. So let us continue. Then he goes on. He says, Adityanam Maham Vishnu Jyotisham Raviranshman Marichi Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam Maham Shashi. Amongst Adityas, the 7 suns, I am Vishnu, the most radiant. So in the Rig Veda, we see various suns. Are these just the physical suns, or they are something else? Well, that is something which is definitely worth exploring. But Krishna says, among the Adityas, recognize me to be Vishnu, the most brilliant one. It's like the golden bull as described in the Rig Veda. Among splendorous lights, I am the brilliant sun. If you look at all the lights, I think everybody has a different wattage of a bulb in their home. But which is the brightest? Well, of all the lights, look at the Surya. In our Srushti, for us, the brightest light is the Surya. And probably that is why people say Gayatri Mantra looking at the sun, isn't it? Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yonam Prachodayat. Give me that illumination, O sun, become the source of inspiration. Give that, what we can say, inspiration to me. Krishna goes on. He says, among Maruts, the storm deities, I am Marichi, the mightiest one. So if you see, Maruts are also the Rigvedic Devatas. They accompany even Indra. Indra is invoked along with the Maruts. Well, among the Maruts, he says, I am Marichi. And I am the moon amongst the constellations, most prominent. Look at all the stars in the sky, which looks most beautiful and biggest, even bigger than the star is the moon. He says, I am there. So probably, and many religions also, people worship the moon because their divinity of the moon. Also in Rigveda, Chandrama Manaso Jataha. Mana is our mind is connected with the moon. There are different aspects about that. Let us go on. Krishna says, Vedanam Samavedosmi, Devanam Asmi Vasavaha, Indriyanam Manushchasmi, Bhutanam Asmi Ketana. I am Samaveda amongst the Vedas. It's the most melodious, beautiful Veda among the Vedas. Rig Veda has its own style, its own different things. Same with the other Vedas also. But Sam is very, very special. Most melodious is what we can see. I am there is what he's saying. I am Indra, leader amongst the gods, the Devas. So among the Devas, I am the Raja of the Devas. That is the Indra. Indra is like a post who is in charge of all the gods. And I am the Indra is what he's saying. If you want to study the Indra, best study what Rig Veda's description is in the terms of its real symbolism and meaning. Because in Puranic stories, Indra has been made into some kind of humanized version to make people understand from the moral of the story. But what we can say, Sri Aurobindo calls Indra Lord of the illumined mind, the higher consciousness. That is Indra's role, to lift our consciousness. So each of these devas have their purpose. But here, and if you look at it, this shloka also is trying to, again, it's like a stamp on what Sri Aurobindo's interpretation is also. If you look at it, next line, amongst the senses, I am mind. Among the Indriyas, I am the Raja of the Indriyas. Mind, isn't it? Mind connects all the Indriyas. So I am Indra, who is the Deva of all the Devas. And among the all senses, I am the mind. Mind can control. Mind can change everything. If you are feeling sleepy, mind will immediately help you control and stop. Okay, I want to do this. If somebody is having physical pain also, the mind can help them bear that. So something like that. Krishna goes on. He says, it is in all living beings. In all living beings, it is my consciousness that you find. So now we have to recognize that the divine is present in all living beings. Divine consciousness is present. But my question is the divine consciousness present in people we don't like? Yes?
Yes, yes, of course.
It is there everywhere. We may not
Yes.
like the outer aspect, or the person might be very cruel, very wicked, all those things. But the divine consciousness is there, and the divine consciousness is higher. Who knows, that person might become a puppet of the divine consciousness and do something unknowingly. Our Vairi will never, our enemy will not do anything consciously for our good. But unconsciously also anybody can do whatever the divine wishes. We have to realize that all are like yantras in the hand of the divine. So somewhere maybe invoke the divine consciousness. One of the things what my teacher had said, because in our factory we have to get so many licenses from so many departments. And we were informed that this department you go, you have to pay this much to get a license. That department you go, and this was absolutely against our principles. So we were not going to. But one man said, you have to go through agent. My Guruji said, we don't need an agent. We will go. We will face everyone. So what do we do? He said, simple. He said, just understand all people are not bad. Even if there is some tradition which is wrong and everybody is following it, your job is not to further that tradition. It is okay, but try to lift the consciousness, the good consciousness, and seriously. So it's not just my experience. We got licenses very well without having to do anything. My sister also, after me, she also went at a young age. She was able to go, and she actually talked about Gita in Inspector of Factories, which was a big surprise. The person was asking what is theory of karma, and she was explaining to him. What happens is everybody, everywhere we go, recognize that the divine is there. Just because the person doesn't look the way we want the person to look, or doesn't talk the way we want, or doesn't behave the way, or is having an opposite ideology also. We cannot deny the presence of a divine consciousness in another person, because the divine is beyond all of this. This is another important shloka with a lot of practical significance. Next question, next shloka comes on. Krishna says, Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitteshu Yaksharaksasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meruhu Shikharinam Maham. This one gives a lot of heartburn to those who try to have fights between Shiva and Vishnu. They want to keep that Dvaita. But no, divine is beyond this Dvaita. This is the aspect. Among the Rudras, 11, I am Shankara. So I am Shankara, I am among the Rudras. I am that. Shiva and Krishna, where are you? Why are you coming? Like Ardhanari Nareshwara, there's Harihara also Rupa of Krishna and Shiva together. There's a temple where it is Shiva is also and Krishna. Both of them are together. Well, this is something one must recognize. He says, I am Kubera, prosperity and wealth's overlord. Among demons and nature spirits benevolent, I am the god of fire. Amongst Vasus, I am Meru. Among the peaks, magnificent. I am that Meru. I am that great. Among the Shikhas, among the peaks, I am the highest peak, that is Meru. That's what Krishna is saying. He goes on further. This is actually interesting, the fact that Krishna is trying to remove that Dvaita from everywhere. Maybe later on, when we start getting the highest realization, then there is that Nara-Narayana Dvaita also will disappear. Who is this? Like, there's no difference between the talker and the listener also. All will become one. Wherever you are, wherever you go, you will make the divine consciousness function when you become conscious of it. It is something like that. Krishna goes on. Purudhasam cha mukhyam mam vidhi partha bruhaspatim senani na maham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. Oh Arjuna, know and understand me to be amongst the reservoirs of water. I am the oceanic sea. Bruhaspati, the chief amongst the demigods. I am Skanda, the commanding battle lord of lords. So I am Kumara. I am that Kumar Kartikeya who is the what we can say leader of the armies of the Devatas. Understand, among waters, I am the sea. Look at the ocean. It's so powerful. Anybody has had a chance to go on sea, you will just see how we are very insignificant in comparison to the vastness of the sea. One individual looks nothing when they are in the middle of the ocean. Something like that. I am that oceanic sea. Among the demigods, I am Brihaspati and I am Skanda among the battle lords. Like I said, these are all vibhutis which are understandable to Arjuna. Because this is from the time and era when Arjuna was more conscious and aware of all of this. He has seen so many, Narada, Sita, Vyala. For us, they're all some kind of, we just visualize, everybody has some visualization based on some story we have heard. But we have not seen Narada, we have not seen Asita. So what we will try to do is we'll just try to focus more on the shlokas that are more connected to us in our everyday life with its practical understanding. The other names, if you want to study, you can go deeper and you'll find newer connections as well. Krishna goes on, Maharshinam Bhruguraham Giramasmi Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japayajñosmi Stavaranam Himalaya. I am Bhrigu amongst the great sages. I am that Bhrigu Rishi. I am Himalaya, the greatest among mountain ranges. Somebody who's been lucky enough to go to the Himalayas will understand what is the brilliance and beauty of the Himalaya. That vastness, that silence, that peace, just looking at it. Well, maybe through that silence, you can connect with Krishna also or with the divine, your Aradhya. If you don't like Krishna, fine, don't have to. But whichever Aradhya or divine inside of you, you feel, no, I don't want any outside Devat. Sanatan Dharma is free for all. Choose what you wish to, what you want to, but connect, if not from direct consciousness, at least from the physical. He goes on, I am amongst words, Om, sacred syllable of creation. So among the words, Om is the word. Om iti etadaksharam idam sarvam tasyopa vyaptanam bhutam bhavat bhavishyaditi sarvam omkara eva is what Mandukya talks about. Mandukya is saying Om is everything. Now somebody has done wave pattern analysis of Om sound and tried to do Fourier transforms and they're writing some equations. So fine, scientists will show some pattern. They will understand something. Somebody else will do some other aspect, some study. But what is the consciousness of Om? That somebody can probably understand best by connecting deeper. Mathematical equations might help you get some understanding based on the instrumentation that you have. But what is that which is beyond instrumentation? For that, you will have to understand it yourself. So here I am Om is what Krishna is saying. Amongst the ways of worship, I am Japa, the silent chants repetition. What is this Japa? Anybody? What is Japa? Yes, someone?
Beads chanting. The
Yes,
beads,
Badrinath.
108 beads chanting.
Beads chanting.
Yeah, is japa.
If I don't have beads, Badrinath, can I do
You
Japa?
can maybe mentally chant also because
Okay, mentally also. Okay, ji. All right, ji. Fine. So yes, so this is the Japa. Japa is the chanting, repetition. Mantras have their effect like that. Even there are researches have been done. I had to gather researches when somebody said mantra is different from mantra because foreign researchers only have published. So I have to quote these researchers. So somebody was saying different mantras, they have their effects, but they had not studied the effect also. Still, for a purpose of research, they had written something. Hey Ram, mantra of Gandhi. That was the explanation. But that was a research. Each mantra, each japa, sometimes your mind is going in a different direction. Japa will help bring it back. Many times when first Guru Diksha is got, a mantra is whispered in the ear very silently, secretly. Why is it done silently? What is the tantric aspect? Well, when it is silent and receiving it in that silence, then that mantra will start functioning. It does not have to be outward also. Japa you are doing is fine. You want to say it loud, great. You will have the shruti of the mantra also. You will consciously understand also. But you see, real mantras, it is said, are heard. And they are heard in the silence. And in a speech which is beyond what we can say, they say Vaikhari, it is higher than that also, which beyond the speech, you can hear in the silence the sound of japa, what it is, where, when you get that silence, you might experience it. And what is Krishna talking about? This is the way, a silent repetition of mantra. Japa can go on throughout the day also. When you are doing your work also, I know of people who are doing japa while doing activities also. They are involved in activities. My Guruji says this must be a state where everybody must reach. Meaning whatever action, you might be having a conversation also, but another side, it will go on. How many of you have noticed we have two minds? Yes? When your mind also, there's one outer mind and there's one inner mind. Yes, Badrinathji?
Is it the conscious mind and the subconscious mind?
No, subconscious mind is hidden inside. It will suddenly show something from subconscious. But while you are doing dhyana, meditation, suddenly, I did not pay the EMI. One more mind is going, one more mind is telling no. Sometimes, everybody's mind is different. So I'm not trying to generalize it. But what happens is thoughts run. One goes one more way, one more goes simultaneously, two thoughts going in same direction. Some people who don't have full control over the mind, that is a problem. They wonder how do we deal with it? Well, japa is the best solution. Japa is a solution which gives strength to the thoughts also, which will help control. And it can be done silently. Sometimes people have the habit of showing others I'm doing japa. I have seen one person on the stage also. He is sitting on the stage. He can do the japa quietly, but he has to take his mala out and show everybody. Then as if that is not sufficient, he does not want bad nazar, so he's covering one hand and he's doing the same thing. So it is something which is to be done in silence also. Go quietly, Krishna is saying, this is what he is saying. I am there in Om, I am also in Japa. That's one thing which is very interesting. Let us go on further, we'll see. Ashwataha sarva vrukshanam devarshinam cha naradaha gandharvanam chitraratha siddhanam kapilo muni. So out of this, Ashwatha is the closest we can understand. Ashwatha, the most sacred. Amongst the most sacred trees, I am the people tree. I am Chitraratha, among the heavenly beings free. Amongst divine sages, I am Narada Muni. Among the great perfected saints, I am Kapila Muni. So among these, if you look at people tree or the Ashwatha Vruksha, I think everybody has seen this Vruksha. This is the Vruksha under which Buddha is said to have got his enlightenment. This is another, if you study botanically, you will see this is the Vruksha which gives out oxygen even at night. It's a beautiful Vruksha. And Krishna is saying, among Vrukshas recognize me. That is why they do worship of this Vruksha as well. It is a nakshatra tree for many people as well, of a particular nakshatra rashi. So this tree is considered as a representative of the divine. And if you have an opportunity to go and sit under the tree, just don't miss that chance. Try and meditate once. You will see always if you're under that tree, you will hear always birds chirping also, because it's such a beautiful, vast, huge tree that it houses so many life forms, and sitting under it is quiet and peaceful. Whether it's a summer or whether it is a winter, anytime, just try to experience. Krishna goes on further. He says, Uchchai Shravasam Ashwanam Vidhi Mamratot Bhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Naradipam. Know me to be Uchchai Shravas, the best horse that came to be, born of nectar that arose from the churning of the milk sea. I am Airavat, the lord of elephants, white and regal. I am the one king, and all mankind are my subjects loyal. I am the Raja, and the entire Srishti is my Praja, is what we can very well connect. But this also, if you know, the Samudra Manthan led to different, there's a lot of symbolism behind it. The fight between the Asura and the Devas and what comes out. There's a lot of it inside, but he says, see there, I am Uchchai Shravas, born of nectar from this churning. And I am also Airavat, the great elephant, the white elephant. He goes on further, he says, Ayudhana maham vajram, dhenu namasmi kamadhap, prajanaschasmi kandarpaha, sarpanamasmi vasuki. I am Vajra, the divine thunderbolt amongst weapons in battle. So I am that supreme weapon, Vajra. There's a beautiful story behind Vajra, isn't it? That was the weapon which was used to slay which Rakshas, anybody? Maybe you can have a look at it. It is made from the bones. It's a very interesting story. But I am that weapon is what he says. I am also Kamadhenu, the divine wish-yielding cow. I am Kandarpa. Means I am only Kama, I am only responsible for creating this feeling inside, which is motivating procreation also. Among single-headed serpents, I am Vasuki. Vasuki is my manifestation. Krishna goes on, Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham. Somebody?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I did not follow that Kandarpa.
Kandarpaha. Kandarpa can be called in English as the Cupid or Kamadeva. I am Kamadeva is what Krishna is saying. If you want to unmute, you can unmute, Ji. I am Kamadeva. Kamadeva is responsible, we can understand, to create Kama inside of an individual.
Yeah.
So even that, which is creating procreation, if you look at it, all human beings, somebody is planting this, isn't it? We are all functioning. All living beings, actually, not just humans. Prakriti is created that, isn't it? Prakriti creates the desire to procreate, desire to further the species. Nobody needs to learn it, or if you see in the jungles or anywhere, it is not being taught, it is inserted. And Krishna is saying there is a purpose, meaning this evolution also is taking place, and I am there also, is what Krishna is saying. Among single-headed serpents, I am Vasuki. So next shloka, Anantaschasmi naganam varuno yadasamaham pitrunam aryama chasmi yamaha sayama tamaham. The best amongst the Naga races, I am Ananta. Amongst the people of all the oceans, I am Varuna. Anybody knows this Shanno Varunaha is a slogan of which organization? Shanno Varunaha.
Navy.
Absolutely. How is it, Benita ji? You are aware of it? You know somebody in the Navy?
My husband has served in the Indian Navy.
Okay. All right, ji. Yes, thank you. So what could be the reason? Because they're all very superstitious. So Navy is having it, or what do you think could be the reason?
When the ship enters the water, they pray to Lord Varuna actually.
Yes, because Varuna is... Yes, absolutely. Varuna is the master of the seas. If you study the Varuna Sukta in the Rig Veda, it is like Yat Chiddete Vishwayatadeva Varuna Pratam. You know all the roots You are the master. Varuna's spies are also present everywhere. They are correctly relaying the information to Varuna. He knows all the routes of the vessels also, which are in the sky also, which are in the oceans also. He says, Varun, it is said in that beautiful sukta that Varuna knows about the things that are happening also. And no matter how powerful the vessel is, how beautifully, what we can say is mechanically perfect design, it is still at the mercy of the ocean. The very rough ocean can suddenly create a big trouble. And so the first prayer is Shanno Varunaha only. Absolutely. So Krishna says, I am Varuna among the peoples of oceans. I am Aryaman, the father of the deified ancestors, means the Pitars. Aryaman is that Devata who is in charge and who is of all the Pitars. And this is an interesting thing. Krishna is saying, I am death god, I am Yama, who is justice's upholder. So I am Yama. This is what I experienced in the Kathopanishad reading when he started, because I did not expect to give too many Gita examples. I didn't want to, but the participants were saying this is the same. One shloka is looking ditto copied from the Gita. They said, look at this, 70% of the shloka is same. Why they are talking about Ashwatha here also? In that shloka also inverted Ashwatha is there. I am seeing so many things. And then I just asked a question, what would you do now if you see, if Yama comes? If you come in face to face with Yama. So one person said, I would say, Yama, show me Krishna Rupa. I'm not scared of this. Because they said, no, I will not be afraid of Yama if he comes also. I say, what is this? I know you are only Krishna, no big deal, no big difference. So this is something which Krishna is saying. I am also this. Mrityu is also one of the truths of life. No matter what, we have to accept it. Where there is Mrityu, then only there is a new beginning. Sometimes we don't know the stories which started, why, which started, what time, why did they get over early. Look at Shivaji Maharaj. He lives for less number of years, and a very cruel Aurangzeb lives for so many years. Why? This is why they say it's a deep flux of nature. Karma is, we don't understand it. It confuses even the wisest of seers and perplexes them. Well, this is one thing we can understand. It is the divine. Divine is here. Divine is there as Yama as well. Krishna goes on. My grandfather had written death as a poem on death many years back. And my grandfather had just come out of a heart attack, and somehow that operation also was over. And in that I had written that death is nothing but an angel with a lover's rose. He got so happy with that poem, he went to a newspaper and said, this must get published. And he told me, I lost all fear of death. Earlier, I used to be afraid of Yama. He's going to be like this with his buffalo and everything. But now when he's like an angel with a rose, now who will not want such a... Why should anybody be afraid is what he said. And he actually ensured it got published, which was a surprise. It was one of his gifts. Now he's no more, but it is always something I will always cherish when I think of him. So this aspect, Krishna says, I am Yama. Badrinathji wants to add something? Yes, sir.
No, I want one clarification here.
Yes, sir.
We said at the young age Shivaji has expired or he has lost his life, whereas Aurangzeb has lived for so many years. So what is it in the context of spirituality? Like, can we say that his karmas have exhausted and he has gone being a good...
No, what we can say, if we look at the Adhyatmic way, because we cannot judge on somebody else's karmas, or we cannot make a theory also of somebody else's karma. What I can say is, death is a truth of life. We should understand. I cannot say I will live 100 years. I will try to live 100 years. I will aspire to live 100 years. I will try to live a lifestyle which will ensure me to, live that life. But I cannot guarantee. This is why they call it Mrityu Loka. Sansara is like that. So this is the truth which we should understand. That is all I think we can say, Badrinathji. Is that okay? Can we go ahead? All right. Yes, please. Krishna goes on. Prahladaschasmi daityanam kalaha kalayatamaham mruganam cha mrugendroham vainateyascha pakshinam. I am Prahlada. Among the titans of might, I am measurements. Among measurements, I am time that never stops day or night. So Kala, they say Kalaya Tasmai Nama. Time is the truth. Time heals everything. Time only decides everything. Something like that. And does time stop for anybody? My clock can stop working because the battery is gone. but the time will not stop. It will go on. So that is why time is something. And Krishna says, I am Kala. A spiritual person is a person who is always on time. He has made peace with time. He's come to terms with time. He's not unconscious because time is moving and the person is also moving with the time. He's not holding on to something which is not from the past. He is understanding and moving on. Commitments are also kept. That is something. Amongst forest beasts, I am the lion king of kings. So look at the beautiful Raja of the jungle. I am there also. My glory is there. I am Garuda, the king eagle amongst bird of wings. I think this, though we cannot go to jungles, I think on TV we can always watch animals in the various channels which are dedicated for this. They have their programs. So that time maybe we can just try to get that connection with the divine as we watch closely, look at the divinity, look at the majesty, all those outer aspects also can maybe try to connect us with something inner, because ultimately it is that connection that is important. That is what we are looking to make as well. Like Lion King, he's also Garuda, is what Krishna is saying. Krishna goes on, Pavanaha Pavatam Ramaha Shastra Bhrutamaham Jashanam Makaraschasmi Srotasam Asmi Janavi. I am the wind, purifying and swift moving. Amongst warriors, I am Rama, the valiant and daring. So I am Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram also. I am Pavan also, which is moving at all, like so fast and in all directions. I am alligator among the aquatic creatures. I am the Makara. Makara is one of the very special creatures. Both. It is amphibious, isn't it? The strongest terrestrial organism is put in water. What's going to happen? End of life. Human beings are put into an aquarium. What's going to happen? Nothing. Our life will disappear because little lungs are filled with water. Our existence is gone. No matter how brilliant we are. Same way, the most beautiful, best fish also. Take it out of water. It is gone. But look at this Makar. Makar is able to live both places. Something like that is what Krishna is saying. And I am Ganga. I am the river Ganges among the pristine rivers. How many of you have had the chance to visit Ma Ganga? Yes? Anybody has visited? Anyone? If you have, you could just in a minute tell me your experience or just quickly and then we'll go on. Anyone? Yes, Dr. Atulji. Ji, sir.
I belong to Prayagraj,
Okay.
Allahabad,
Ji, sir.
and it's on the shore of Ganges. In my childhood, my grandfather used to take me there for bath in
Okay.
the morning.
Oh, wow.
I had bath in Ganges many times.
Okay, so
So-
that's so beautiful. Okay. Ji, I think that's such a beautiful fortune. I have not had the chance of going there, but the Ganga has come to me. People have sent, I have got it. And every time just looking at that, even just looking at it inside of a transparent bottle, it looks so pure. Most water, ordinary water caught from here, anywhere I keep it after some days, we do experiments also in our lab. So we see water changes, but this water is looking so beautiful. And for me, just the sparsha, one drop onto the eyes is so special. So I think Dr. Atulji is, I think you can just reminisce those moments. And well, Krishna is saying, I am there also in that divine river as well. Krishna goes on, Sarganam Adirantascha Madhyam Chaiva Aham Arjuna Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vadaha Pravadatamaham. I am the beginning, middle, and end of all creation. Oh Arjuna, I am the logic of those involved in debate and discussion. So I am the beginning, I am the middle, I am the end of everything. I am the logic. Sometimes if you see the best of the debates, one person's logic suddenly turns the debate completely. And that is something it is always acknowledged by everybody when one person is using a very superior logic, which cannot be countered by anybody. One person might be against so many, 5 other people may be having opinions against that one person, but that one person has touched a logic which is irrefutable. Well, something like that, Krishna is saying, I am that logic, I am the tarka, the vidya, that tarka which is used in the debate. Truth will remain truth, isn't it? If you present it in a correct way, nobody would be able to deny it. It is something like that. And Krishna says, still, there is something higher than mental logic also. Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. So I am that Vidya, which is the Adhyatma Vidya, which is said to be a Vidya higher than all other sciences. This does not give us the right to look down upon sciences. Material sciences are also advanced sciences only. We cannot neglect or what we can say refute them. But we must understand the material limitations also of these sciences. There is something higher. That is when you understand that, then this matter and spirit union will take place. This is very much possible. How do things which are supralogical take place? Things which are beyond mental logic. How do those things take place? Why does certain things happen in a particular way that sometimes cannot be explained by the logic or cannot even in the sciences? Now, example, we have thermodynamics. What do we start with? We start with something which is very ideal and not practical on the ideal gas laws. There is no ideal gas, but the ideal gas laws are required. We need to rise beyond what we understand. It is so important to understand the ideal and then probably interpolate it into the practical. In even in this thermodynamics, we had something called perpetual motion machine. You cannot create a perpetual motion machine, but what if somebody breaks that law? Then we will have that. It would become a new motor, it would be a new revolution, a new transformation. How is it that maybe somebody has to dig a little more deeper and maybe they might find what they are searching for? But recognizing that there is this Adhyatmic Vidya, which is beyond the science, is also a lesson in humility. Not only is it a lesson in humility, it also creates the ground for receiving the higher knowledge. When we were in college, my friends of engineering department, we were in engineering college, electronics department and mechanical department. Both were rowdies only, all the teachers would say, and each wanted to establish supremacy. So there were fights, physical fights also, because my department is better than yours. And I remember in one such fight, one senior who was doing MTech, he came to us and he stopped those two groups and said, both of you are fools. But then one said, you are a mechanical engineer, MTech. Why are you taking their side? You should understand. He said, what nonsense, I am doing mechatronics. Now what will you say? We were all surprised because we had never heard this subject that time. Mechanical and electronics together. Our entire point of which is greater suddenly disappeared because which science is higher? Can one science be lower or one science be higher? Is art lower than other sciences? What we can say, physical science, is it lesser than an art? Or are they opposite? Or somebody says artist is much more superior. Again, no. Ancient India, all sciences were one. The artist was also the scientist, and the scientist was also the rishi was also a sadhak, and the sadhak was also manifesting multiple forms. Arjuna, what was Arjuna? Arjuna was a great dancer also. Bhima was a great cook also. How is it possible? Well, the Vedic man had understood the secret. They had understood that, and that is required because we don't want to become one-dimensional. It's like over-specialization. If that happens, that is also a problem. It is said, there's a story, isn't it, of a deer getting stuck because its antlers are too big, getting stuck in the bushes, in the branches. And so the hunter is able to chase. The one who is not having so much antlers, who people were making fun of that creature is now free because the antlers didn't. Something like that we need to understand. Adhyatma Vidya is the highest Vidya. Let us seek that Adhyatma Vidya. Let us receive that Adhyatma Vidya. That alone can transform us. That can give us all that is required. Krishna goes on. Krishna says, Aksharanam makarosmi dvandvaha sama sikasya cha ahameva kshayah kalo dhataham vishvato mukham. Amongst letters, in the all-encompassing letter I am found. Amongst words, I am the dual compound. I am the imperishable time that ceases not to persist. The master of existence, in all their faces, I exist. I am everywhere, is what Krishna is saying. I am that letter the beginning of all the alphabets. In the Devanagari Lipi, it begins with and I am in that beginning, is what Krishna is saying. I am the master of all existences, and I am present everywhere. He goes on further. He says, Mrityuhu sarva haraschaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirtihi shrirvakcha narinam snutir medha dhrutishama. I am for the living, the all-ensnaring death, and for the beings to come, I am also birth. Isn't it? After the night only there is a day, dawn. So something like that, after death only there is birth. We don't understand this fully, but this is a truth. So for the living, it is the death. There's a big yaksha prashna, isn't it? What is the biggest riddle of humankind? We all think death will happen to somebody else, but not to us. But death is going to come to everybody. This is the truth. Everybody knows it, but they don't understand it, or they are not conscious of it. And that is why it breaks them completely when it happens. Why? We hear stories of young soldiers dying at some very young age. Sometimes children die at very young age. But all that doesn't shake us that much until it comes very close to us. This is the nature. This is the Prakriti. Krishna is saying this is all happening according to a game of the divine. He says, I am for the living, the all-ensnaring death, and for the beings to come, I am also birth, glory, speech, intellect, and memory. The qualities divine and forgiveness are all my virtues, feminine. So this is what we saw in the illustration. Glory, speech, intellect, memory. Kirti, Shrir, Vak, this Smruti, Medha, Dhruti, Shama, all of this. Shama also, forgiveness. So important it is to forgive. Forgive those who have wronged. Sometimes forgive yourself also, because humans only make mistakes. But forgiving is not forgetting. That you should become conscious. You cannot forget and make the same mistake again. Or somebody who has done unpardonable work, you may have forgiven him once, but don't forget that can happen again. So remain on that path, remain, but understand, have the heart big enough to forgive as well. Krishna goes on, Brihat Sama Tatha Samnam Gayatri Chandasamaham Masanam Margashirshoasmi. Margashirshoham Rutanam Kusumakara. I am the Brihat Sama among the Samaveda chimes. I am Gayatri among the metrical rhymes. Among the months, I am Mrigashirsha, the month first, and amongst the seasons, I am spring's delicate burst. I am that spring, and among mantras, I am Gayatri. He's not saying I am the Gayatri mantra. Gayatri is the chanda or the meter. That meter has become so popular, that is why this mantra is called Gayatri mantra. But actually, there is a Gayatri mantra for every devata. We can also compose our own Gayatri mantra. Om Tat Purushaya Vitmahe Mahadevaya Dhimai Tanno Rudra Prachodayat, like that. Om Paramatmane Vitmahe Vasudevaya Dhimai Tanno Shri Krishna Prachodayat, or anything. The meter, the rhythm, that Gayatri is a rhythm. Like there are different chandas. Anushtup Chandaha, like that Gayatri Chandaha. So I am there in this beautiful Sanskrit rhythmic meter because of its what we can say rhythm. Krishna is saying further, he says, Dyutam Chalayatam Asmi, Tejas Tejasvinamaham, Jayosmi, Vyavasayosmi, Sattvam Sattva, Vatamaham. I am the cunning in the gambler's deception. This Shakuni Mama understood in the Mahabharata when he was facing Krishna. He thought he's beating Krishna, but Krishna correctly got him trapped into a gambling match where he wanted to establish some other thing. He did that in the simultaneous way. So here Krishna says, I am cunning. I am the cunning in the gambler's deception. And in the good nature, I am purity's inception. This looks contradictory, both of them. One side, purity's inception, another side, cunning. This just shows to that a sadhak must be aware of everything and conscious of everything. Even in the deception also, the sadhak should not become Yudhishthira in the Dyuta. He must not allow, if he's standing for something right, he cannot get trapped and start wagering everything. Understand when the person in front is cunning also. Means we have to surrender to the divine, but we should not surrender our common sense. Isn't it? Common sense should be with us. Vivek Buddhi should be awake. We cannot allow that. And sometimes Vivek Buddhi is lost by so many people at one same time. That is why Mahabharata took place. All of them allowed what happened to Draupadi. Why? This is Maya. Vivek Buddhi was completely brushed for everybody at that moment. They allowed such a thing to take place. Then karma has taken place. Then now karma phala will also take place. It was all something like that. Krishna is saying, I am that cunning in the deception of the gambler, and in the good-natured, I am purity's inception. I am the glory of the glorious and victory of the victors. I am the enterprise of the entrepreneurs. Meaning an entrepreneur also requires this spirit, isn't it? To visualize something, to dream something where nothing is there, to follow it. Somebody starts, even if you just open a small stall, how many things you have to work to make it happen. Somebody who is there who is working in the business can understand how many factors have to be considered at one time. So many. Well, where does that spirit come? Because sometimes all the games of the forces in the world are trying to prevent something from manifesting. That time, that spirit has to come. To understand that spirit, it has to connect with the divine. Krishna is saying, I am that spirit. I am the glory of the glorious, the victory of the victors. So the glory that people receive also, it is because the Abhaya Hasta of the divine is there on that person. That is why this person is receiving the glory. That is why victory is working on some people. So this is what Krishna is saying. We stop at the next shloka, that is shloka number 37. Tomorrow we'll complete 10th shloka and we will see if Arjuna's stomach is full, because he said, I am thirsty. I want you to just speak. So is Krishna going to be satisfying Arjuna's thirst by speaking, or is Arjuna going to get hungry and he says, no, I want something more? We will see that. We'll stop at shloka number 37. Krishna says, Vrushni nam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjayaha Muninam Mapyaham Vyasaha Kavinam Mushana Kavihi. I am Krishna among the Vrishnis. This is among the Vrishnis, the descendants of this Vrishni dynasty. I am Krishna. And he says, among the Pandavas, I am Arjuna. That is why Arjuna is so special. And look at that Arjuna. He is not so out of the world or out of imagination. He's just like all of us only, isn't it? His nature, his question. It's a sincerity that is counting, and the sincerity is bringing him closer to divinity. That's a very important quality we should have. Nobody can judge and tell, oh, am I sincere, am I not? From outside, nobody can judge another sincerity. But we can, if we are sincere, our heart is clear, we can connect very well. And Krishna says that, see, I am Arjuna also. I am Arjuna among Pandavas. We can only imagine what Arjuna must have felt. When Krishna says, I am you, it's like the Narayan is only saying, I am inside of you. What more is there to be afraid of? But many times hearing good things are different from realizing good things. So right now Arjuna is only hearing it. When he realizes it, his bhaya will completely disappear. Right now he's just hearing. He's not realized that he and Krishna are one in consciousness. If he realizes it, Mahabharata is already over. Krishna goes on, he says, I am Vyasa, among the great sages. I am Vyasa, and amongst the poetic seers, I am Mushanas. So why is Vyasa so special? Anybody? Something about Vyasa? Anything you can tell me about Vyasa, and we'll conclude today's session. Anyone?
He wrote the
Yes.
Mahabharata.
Yes, he's written the Mahabharata, absolutely. Why is he called Ved Vyas, Dr. Atulji?
I have forgotten. I had read
He
somewhere.
compiled, yes, he compiled the Vedas. Means Vedas were written by various families of, like we can say Bharadwaj, Angiras, Atri, so many such rishis were there. But somebody compiled it. It was a superhuman task, and this was done. And Vyasa was born he was in a fisherman's home, isn't it? And yet
Yes.
Vyasa is considered to be the most exalted of rishis. So again, we have in our Sanatana Dharma, it is the karma which takes precedence of an individual. He was Krishna, his name was Krishna only. He is considered to be like an avatar also. And he got that name Vyasa, it's like a title. If you go back and there was maybe a time when this memories of people were going down, people were having trouble finding food to eat, people were running away from these gurukuls because what is the use? There were famines, people were not understanding everything and spending an entire time, how do we memorize? And this problem was happening. All the great rishis in the gurukuls were also wondering, like how the elders wonder today also, what's going to happen to the next generation. This story has been going on from the beginning. That time they were wondering what's going to happen. People are not remembering what will happen. But a divine wisdom will always remain. And so there was one young boy, he got inspired. He said, I will take that huge task. I will write down everything which right now has just been uttered and heard and repeated. He set off doing this. He got the Ashirwad of his Guru. And what he did was a Herculean task, unimaginable task by a human being. but he wrote it, and today because of that we still have, if you see the Rig Vedas, it is a traditionally received for so many years with no variations only. Everywhere it is received perfectly, because why? We had this Chatur Vedis, Vedis. There was a time when they were actually remembering all these Vedas. They were remembering Kanthastha, all to full Vedas. Chatur Vedis would know all 4 Vedas by heart. That was the power of the memory, and that was the power of our human mind also. Look at Vyasa's compilation of, even look at this Gita, Bhagavad Gita. What time it is written, at what age? If you look at Mahabharata also, how can it, we had so many sciences hidden, embedded inside of it. Well, Krishna says, I am there in that Vyasa also. Meaning it is divine strength which is empowering Vyasa to do the unthinkable. What we can try, Krishna is being asked which Vibhuti I can connect to. Today we saw so many Vibhutis. Maybe we can just choose our Vibhuti from this Adhyay and try to connect with Krishna. And what happens after connecting with Krishna? I think nothing needs to be said. It needs to be only experienced. So I conclude today. We will conclude the Adhyay tomorrow and start what is the next Adhyay of the Gita, which is the 11th one. That is also a very special Adhyay. Hari Om. We'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishna Mande Jagadguru. Hari Om Ji. Namaste. Any queries? Most welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari
Ji.
Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Namaste Ji.
Hari Om Ji.
Hari Om Ji. Namaskar Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om Ji. Hari Om. If no queries are there, I will conclude the session. If anybody has any query, most welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Arvind Ji. Namaste. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om Akhilesh Ji. Hari Om. Yes. If there are no queries, I'll conclude the session. Yes? May I conclude? All right, Ji. Fine. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.